This is one of my favorite things to talk about, and it's on how to manifest the life of your dreams. If you are stuck, if you are confused about what your next steps are, or if you want to work on something big and audacious, this is the episode to tune into. If you're a woman who's on a path of healing and transformation, it's time to live your heart out. My name is Nancy Ma, and I'm a physiotherapist, a family woman, and a dreamer just like you. Join me each week as I share a way of living where you'll feel more alive, vibrant, and free. Okay, so how do you make your dreams come true? Oh my gosh, is that not such a corny topic? And it's been played over and over again. I'm not sure that I have anything new to say, but I can share my story with you, and hopefully you'll be inspired enough to start to dream again. So, sometimes I joke and say I like to manifest things because creation comes from the womb. And being that I am a woman and feel that I'm so powerful and so capable of creating any kind of life I want, um, I would think that it's mean of me. It would be selfish of me not to share what has worked for me, and not just me, but from so many people before me who has shared these same secrets. And so the first step really is on how to manifest anything you want, the life you want, the relationship you want, the family you want, the career, the business, the bank account, is you have to start with a dream, which you can call it a goal, a dream, a direction, a vision, but something to move towards. Because without that, you are going to wake up every day, get out of bed, and just react to life. And you're going to be following the rules, and you're going to wake up and listen to what your boss says. And you're going to fall into this pattern where you're not going in any direction, or you're going into a direction that wasn't what you wanted. And so it's important to start with a dream, a vision you have for yourself, a vision of the future that hasn't quite immersed yet. And um, and really take the time to figure out what you want for your life. Because without that, again, you're just going to wake up every day and just react to life, and things will happen to you instead of for you. Since I was a little girl, I've always been a planner. I've always been the one to know what's coming ahead. I've been with my husband since I was 17. I pretty much told him, this is how long we're going to be together before you propose. This is when you should do it. This is when we're going to get married. This is when we're going to have kids. And not because I, wear the pants or anything. It's because I just like to plan things. And of course, there's a fine line there too. There should be an element of surprise in your life, and you shouldn't overly plan things, because things definitely don't always happen according to plan. But with a dream, it's different than a goal, because a dream is something far away and seemingly almost out of reach, seemingly impossible. That's why it's a dream and not just a goal. A goal is something, especially a smart goal, is something attainable, right? A dream is something that for the average person might not seem possible, but you're not an average person, especially not if you're watching this video or listening to this podcast. So you want to start with something that gets you excited and gets you nervous, which are often the same thing, because there's this element of risk that you have to go through in order to get there. Because if it was easy and if it was comfortable and there were no risks involved, everybody would create these dreams and everybody would manifest everything they wanted. But that doesn't happen. And the reason most people don't dream big is because it's scary. It's scary to have this dream for yourself that you might have been told was impossible. So I said, my whole life I've been a planner, knowing what I want and what kind of life I was going to have, even when I was a teenager. So I remember very distinctly in a class called Family. It was a family class, and I was in it with my husband. And my teacher at the time, her name was Mrs. Baird, and we had to plan in this family class our future. We had to get married, we had to raise a kid together, we had to plan our funeral, that kind of thing. And one of the first things we had to do was pick a career and figure out how much money we were going to make in our first year of working. And at that time, I really wanted to be a doctor. And so I told her, in 10 years, I want to be making $50,000. Or by the time I hit 30, I want to make $50,000 a year. And then she was like, no, that's not realistic. That is unrealistic. And of course, she was trying to protect me from getting hurt, trying to strive for something so audacious and seemingly out of reach for an average person. And I guess maybe even before setting a dream is you do have to believe that you're not an average person, that you're just not like everybody else. And I always knew that about myself. And that's not something I don't know that I could teach. It's not really about how smart you are, but it's about, are you like everybody else? And I've always known since I was a kid that I wasn't like everybody else. And I don't know if you can resonate with that, but I just always knew I'm not going to be like everybody else here. And so when she said to me, that's not realistic, that's not going to happen, I was like, watch me. And I did. By the time I was 30, I made $100,000 a year. And I'm not saying that to brag, but it's just, I had that direction in mind and I was very committed to making that happen. And I believed in myself enough to make it happen. And it's not like I'm the most intelligent person or I'm the biggest risk taker. I just believed in it enough and was probably stupid enough to not look at the odds, because if some of the smartest people we know, like the mathematicians, the very logical people, aren't often the most successful people in life because they're so smart and here and they can calculate all the possibilities of why something could happen. But the chances are, if we're looking at possibility in numbers, there's a 99% chance it won't happen. And so if you know those kind of numbers, you're not going to take action because you're looking at numbers and you're looking at logic, right? But I didn't have that much logic then, I guess. And I had enough to plan things, but I didn't look at the numbers to say, okay, which is what the teacher did, which is what Mrs. Bear did. She looked at the numbers and said, for an average person who's 30 years old, she'll be making this much. And I said, well, I want to be a doctor. She said, but the average doctor will be in residency at 30. So you still won't be making this much. So all this to say is that you don't have to be the smartest person, because often the smartest people go into analysis paralysis and they don't end up living the life of their dreams. So don't be discouraged that you aren't insanely logical, aren't a scientist or a mathematician. So anyway, having a dream and dreaming big. And I always had that at 30. I knew this is where I wanted to be. I had our own house by the time we were 30. I was married. I lived down the street from my parents. But I never really dreamed beyond that. And I think most of us can relate. It's just when we were kids, we're taught, okay, well, you have to know what you're going to be when you grow up. So pick a career, pick a profession. And of course, I wanted to be a doctor because that's what my parents wanted for me. And I did. I wanted to help people. So sure, that seemed like a good decision or a good path. But I ended up being a physiotherapist, which I love more, and this is my life's path, and I embraced it anyway. And so at 22, I went to physiotherapy school, got my master's degree, and then did all the things. And then at 30, I didn't have a dream beyond that, and my life kind of went stagnant because there was nothing beyond that. I already accomplished my goals. This was it. This was it. Like, I'm just gonna wake up, go to work every day, cook, do the laundry, taxes. This is all there is to life. It wasn't until I started doing network marketing, and for anybody who wants to do their own business, I always say, like, start with a network marketing company. It doesn't really matter what it is. Hopefully it's something you believe in and it's products you believe in, because when you do something like that, it's a low risk, but you develop all these skills in your life. But that aside, one of the things that we did in this network marketing company, and if you don't know, a network marketing company is often a product you sell or a service you sell where you try to get everybody on board and you make money selling the product, but you also make money enrolling people to sell the products and becoming salespeople. The reality is most of these network marketing companies aren't really set up for you to make a lot of money or passive income the way they promote, but you do gain a ton of skills and abilities. And one of those things that I did or got was we would go to these meetings, and one of the books we had to read was Think and Grow Rich and The Magic of Thinking Big. And these two books were huge in making me realize that, oh, I can dream again. And that's why these business companies want you to dream, because it's about your mindset. If you can expand your mind and think about the future in a big way, then you're going to move in that direction. You're going to feel elevated. Your energy levels are going up and you're moving on an upward trajectory. And so work being this company, we had to set our income goals and what we wanted to do in the world and how we wanted to make a difference. And I said, wow, this goes beyond my 9 to 5, which in reality I was working more than 9 to 5 and working into evenings and on the weekends. But I started to think and really dream big. And I remember going to one of these meetings, and specifically they got us to imagine a day 5 years from now where you're living your perfect day and what that looked like. And they got me to describe it. Actually, right before that, they got us to do this activity where we're cheering for our favorite sports team, and then everybody was cheering, and then they pointed out, wow, you're so excited about the sports team, and you're putting all this energy into a sporting event, and you don't have that kind of energy into your own life. Imagine if you took that energy cheering for somebody else in a sporting team or sports team, and you put that energy into yourself. Imagine the kind of changes you could make. Imagine the life that you could live. And that was very impactful. But anyway, we did this exercise where we took that energy of being that excited for the team winning the championship, and we put it into this perfect day, and we're going to live this perfect day with that sort of excitement. And at that time, I was living in the city, and I pictured myself living in the country, having this beautiful property and hosting retreats and events, and just being so happy and peaceful, and just gratitude for being able to be of service. Like, I was literally at this property in this setting where I was literally serving people, and I was running this retreat. And I've never thought about running retreats before, and I've never thought about moving to the country. Like, I'm a city girl. Like, that would not even be something to like even think about. But that's what that exercise that I did that day. And I put that aside and went back to the everyday grind. And that network marketing company wasn't meant to replace my job as a physiotherapist or anything like that. And then I would say almost 5 years, almost exactly 5 years later, like, these things, the energy, and when you put the energy into a dream, things start lining up, especially when you share. And we did, after doing that exercise, we shared with the group that we were in, and we got to really help support each other in that. And then I let it go again. I never thought about it. But then 5 years later, I was at a yoga conference, and it came across this brochure, and it said retreat for sale. And that's when my heart knew, oh, this is what I'm meant to do. Not because I've been planning it forever, but because I had this dream 5 years earlier that this was what I was going to do. And I hadn't thought about it since, because I went back to my busy life. But that seed was planted, and I, had a whole bunch of experiences that lined up to that opportunity being the right, and me being at the right time, being in a place in my life where that I was ready to do that. Because even if that opportunity had come up 5 years earlier when I initially had this vision, it wouldn't have worked out because the timing wasn't right. And I just wasn't at that space mentally, physically, emotionally, financially to make that happen. And so, again, the first step is to dream big. Second step is to share your dream. And so anyway, we saw this brochure for sale. That place didn't work out. But what we started to do was I started telling everybody that this is what I wanted to do. Like, I told all my friends, I would tell all my clients that I worked with every day. I would go to work and say, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And everyone would just get really excited for me, because it's easier to get excited about other people's dreams sometimes, just like we get excited about watching, our favorite sports team. And I had one of my mentors at the time, he said, why are you looking, way over there? Because I was looking at properties, at the one in the brochure. It was like 2 hours away from the city. Kind of nobody ever goes there. He said, why don't you look by Niagara? Because that's a beautiful space. There's lots of nature. There's lots of things to do. People are headed in that direction. And I said, oh, I never thought of that before. So that's how I came across this property. And that wouldn't have happened if I didn't share my dream. And I didn't tell anybody about that. And, it's sometimes we have these dreams or these visions for ourselves, but if you don't share with people, you can't spread that energy and you can't put those feelers out there. And the universe doesn't know how to help you if they don't know what you want, right? It's important to know what you want and then say it out loud. When you journal about it, when you start to direct your energy and your body starts orienting itself to these frequencies and vibrations in the dream, then other people can start spreading the word, or they can start supporting you and giving you ideas. And that's what happened for me. One of the big things was to feel the level of excitement, peace, and gratitude as if the dream already happened. And that's something that people don't really understand, but again, it has to do with energy. Is that when you believe that it can happen for you, you can almost start to feel it. You can start to feel your energy change and things shift in your body as if it's already happening. So say, for example, you hated your job and you wanted to quit, but you just didn't have the courage to, or you didn't have the ability to, or whatever reason you're telling yourself that it can't happen. But then one day you decide, this day is it. I'm going to leave in 12 months. From now until that 12 months, nothing's going to change in your life other than nothing's going to change other than that was your demarcation line and you set it. And you'll probably start showing up for work differently and your energy will change and you'll be happier because you could see the end is coming. When you do that, you're already experiencing, that the release from that job in that example as if it's already happened. And so when you can dream this big audacious goal or this vision you have for yourself, you start to share it with other people and you start to engage in life as if that dream is already happening. Like you can even get to the point where you talk about it as if it's already happened. For us, it was just like, oh, when we move to our next property, or when we get the retreat, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do all these things. We started buying stuff for the house before we even bought this house. We started looking at decor and we started, making purchases and thinking about all the things we wanted to do to this property even before it happened. That's, a big part of how you can manifest this life. And so, or your dream life. And, if it's in terms of a relationship, I mean, you can apply these rules or these principles principles to anything you want. If you're looking for a dream partner, it's important to have clarity on what you want this partner to look like. And I know somebody might be like, okay, well, if I dream Brad Pitt, is that what is going to happen? Okay, I can't get, obviously you're not going to marry Brad Pitt, but when you have clarity on what you want and you put it out in the universe, you journal it, you tell other people about it, then you can attract that person to your life. Like, I don't understand all the quantum physics and how that works, but I know it does work. It's very powerful. It's happened for me so many times, and it's happened for so many people. Like, this is how you do it. Even like finding someone to help me, finding a housekeeper. I've been through housekeeper after housekeeper. And when finally, just after months of frustration, years of frustration, it was finally like, okay, what am I looking for in this dream person? They're going to look like this. This is what their life looks like. Well, this is what their situation looks like. And it just became so clear with what I wanted that when people applied for this position, I was like, nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. And then when the right person came, I looked at the application. I was like, oh, that's what I wanted. And of course, how she found her way to me was I started sharing with people, this is what I'm looking for. Someone saw that ad and was like, here, this is the perfect job for you. This is something that would really suit you. And of course, and it did. It's being very clear about what you want. Because again, if you're not clear about what you want, things are just going to happen to you. And then you're just going to, just be reacting to things. And you're going to end up in relationship after relationship, not being happy with the person you're with, or being in this same relationship with different people because they're all the same people, because you're not clear about what you want, and you keep attracting the same person. So when you're not clear what you want, your energy is the same, the energy is stagnant, you're going to attract that kind of energy. So again, to recap, it's to really be clear on what you want by setting a vision for yourself, sharing with people what that looks like, engaging in the feelings of as if you've already experienced it, talking about it as if it's already happened. And, that really has to do with your belief system. And that does happen. Of course, be patient. Being patient. That is the tricky part, because I'm generally not a patient person. And so one trick I have around that is I let it go and I'm not attached to it. This is what I've learned over the years, is that when you want something to happen so badly and you're desperate for it to happen, it actually pushes it away. And this is why it's so much easier for me to let go and not be attached to an outcome anymore, because I know that's actually going to repel it. So imagine like being with someone who's very needy. Even if they were a lovely person and you love them, if you felt their needy energy and they're depending on you all the time to make them happy or whatever, like nobody wants to be with a needy person. So there's this resistive or repulsive force that comes with neediness or desperation. So if you set a goal out there or a dream and you're like, I need this to happen, I need to make like $50,000 this year, or I need to find this person or else I'm going to be lonely for the rest of my life, or I need, that will actually repel you from what you want. So how to do that is you got to let go of that need. And how you do that is, I guess, when you are engaging in something as if it already happened, there's no neededness because it's already there. Like this neediness comes from being desperate for something that hasn't happened. But if you can get to the point where you're grateful for something before it happens, it likely can and will happen for you. So, I mean, this is nothing new. I mean, I'm sure you've known so many people who it's been hard to get pregnant for them. They might have infertility issues. That's a very common problem nowadays. And so often we hear this, and you'll probably attest to this too, is that when that couple decides to adopt, or they do in vitro, or they do something where they've already kind of given up on the natural ways, and it ends up happening for them. Or like I've known so many people who've adopted and they got pregnant, or so many people who tried for years, did in vitro because they were told they were sterile, so never used protection, and then got pregnant like right away after. So why does that happen? I mean, science can't really explain it, but there's an energetic repulsion that comes from wanting something so badly and being desperate about it. Maybe it's the anxiousness that comes with it. Maybe it's the stress. Like I can't explain it fully, but I know that neediness, that attachment to the outcome is not going to get you where you want to be. So, I mean, it can sound very woo woo, spiritual, idyllic, like naive, but I can tell you that I live in this beautiful property. I have this beautiful family. I have this amazing, incredible life. And I know like I'm not the smartest person in the world or even close to it. I almost failed out of school because I wasn't good at certain things in school. It has nothing to do with how smart you are. It has nothing to do with luck, in that yes, I am lucky in that I did have incredibly supportive parents, but that's not necessarily a big correlation. There's lots of people who are successful that had terrible upbringing, right? So I'm lucky I had great parents, but not because my parents were supportive of my dreams. If anything, my parents are like the most negative people when it came to supporting me with these dreams. They thought it was unrealistic. They thought it was silly, naive for me to think that I could move to the country. I've never, I didn't know what the first thing about living in the country was like. They raised me to be almost spoiled, never did chores, never did anything around the house because they wanted to protect me. And um, so all that to say that, it's not about luck or opportunity. It's really these steps in thinking and dreaming big and believing in yourself enough to know that anything can happen, and we are creative individuals and we are worthy of big and beautiful things. Um, and putting it out in the universe and sharing, especially with people that you love and people who can support you, and really engage in the feelings of gratitude and excitement and joy as if it already happened, and then releasing yourself of the attachment to the outcome or to the dream, and just believing and trusting things are always working for you. I mean, if you're sitting here and you're watching this video right now or listening to this, you are okay. You are okay. And if you're in this position, you've gone through hard times, and it still turned out okay, you know, and you can dream big, because often to get to that state in your life where you're living this dream life, you're going to go through challenges, and there are going to be times when you're not okay. On the other side of that is you're going to feel really good, and you're going to get to that point where you can feel really good because you were willing to risk not being okay for a little bit. And I don't know exactly what that journey is going to look like for you. Like, exactly, I don't know who you're going to marry, or what kind of family life you're going to have, or what your business will look like, or what your career will look like. But you can know that if you take the time to take a step back, retreat, release some stuff. I would say that for some people, it's hard to dream big, not just because they don't believe in themselves, but because there's so many blockages in the way, because they don't know what they want. And so before, when I worked with clients, one of the first things we would do is we would start to talk about their goals and what their dream life looked like. And after a while, I realized that this was just a very hard process to do right at the beginning, because people have no clue what they want. And so the first couple of months I spent working with someone, it's actually to take a step back, raise level of consciousness so that you are in that state of growth and healing, and you're releasing some blocks. And after you release those blocks, then you can be in the position where you can reconnect to your heart and know what you really want and know what lights you up. And that's, the state I was in when I made the dream to be here. And, it took a couple of retreat experiences to get me here, but this is how you can really, honestly, truly create the life you want. And sometimes I forget these steps, and this video is so much about, for me, when I'm having a day where I'm just like, can I do this? Can I do this next stage of my dream? Can I really up level? Because I'm scared right now, and I don't think it's going to happen, and I'm worried that it's not going to happen. And then I start to look really negatively at all the possible ways that it's not going to happen. And then I take a step back and I say, wait, I'm here. I'm here. And no matter where you are, you're here because you wanted to be here. Wherever you are, you're here because you wanted to be here, or at least convince yourself of that. And so if you're in that stage where you want to dream big, but you're finding it really hard to, that's totally normal and understandable, because if you've never made a practice or a point to take a step back, retreat, really assess where you are, be conscious of how you're living, and you haven't released the blockages, then it's going to be hard for you to connect to your heart and figure out what you want. That's, what I'm here for. But if you are at that stage where you are ready to up level, get to the next stage, and reconnect with what you want, then do it. Dream big. So share your goals. And actually, if you can comment below and let me know what your big, audacious dreams are, and how can I support you in making that happen? Because we're all here as a collective to raise the level of consciousness. If you're not raising the level of consciousness and love, then we're contributing to the opposite. So share with me in the comments below what you're working on, where you will see yourself in the next few years. I'd love to know what you thought about this video. Until the next time, remember to live your heart out. Please like, share, comment, and check out the website, liveyourheartout.com, for more resources and info. See you soon.